Hey guys, welcome back to the DCM Pod. Today I'm joined not by just one guest, but two guests as well. They are Cailey Cook and Claire Franklin. They are our copywriters here at Dave Creek Media. We've been looking forward to wanting to do this particular podcast for a long time because copywriting is one of our services that we offer. And it's one of those things that you can look over, because the thing about copy is it does play a huge role, especially in a brand, on how it's understood, how it's remembered, as well as how it is trusted. And so good copy goes far just beyond a slogan. It helps shape a brand's voice and it communicates it clearly. So Claire and Cailey, Paul and I are very excited to have you guys here today, especially because they are very smart, they're creative, and they're just a great team. And so we're excited to have them on here today. So Cailey and Claire, welcome. Cailey, tell us about yourself.
My name's Cailey. I have been working at DCM for a little over 4 years now. I graduated from UCA with a degree in communication and a minor in writing. I have, right now I'm living in Russellville. I just moved back from North Carolina.
Hey.
So me and I have a little sheepadoodle, Peaches.
Yep.
And
Peaches.
Yeah.
We love peaches.
Yep. Claire?
Yes, I'm Claire. I have been at DCM for 2.5 years. I also graduated from UCA, but I have a degree in English, and I minored in Spanish. But yeah, no, I love writing. I learned a lot from Cailey. She's been here longer than me, and I'm very happy she's back. She's been gone for a while, working remotely, but we're very happy she's back in office. And it's weird to be in front of the camera.
That's right, because Claire is typically the one sitting back in that corner, taking notes of this podcast. Now she actually has to be in front of the camera against her will. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Next to you.
Yeah, next to me, which we're best friends. All right, so we're just going to jump right into the questions. Question number 1. For the business owner who thinks copy is just a slogan or a few lines on a website, why do words actually matter so much in marketing?
I would say your words. So it's just like, a lot of times when a company is hiring, right? Mm-hmm. So they're looking for somebody that's fitting their culture. Why? Because that person is a representation of their brand. Your copy is, anything that you put out that has words on it is copy. Even if it's 2 words, it's copy. And it's a representation of your brand. And so you want those words to be effectively communicating what you do, what you're selling, who you are. And you want it to also speak to your ideal buyer in the state that they're in with the problems that they're facing. And you want that to communicate why your product service is going to meet their need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say clarity is like clear communication, right? Like that's a big thing. To your point, like anything you put out there with words on it is copy. Probably everything you put out there with words on it is copy. Like you're going to have copy on like almost everything that you put out there, and you're trying to clearly communicate something to your people. And we also live in a world where there's just a lot of marketing everywhere. Like it's just, our media is inundated with it. Like you can't go anywhere without ads being on it. Every game you play, every streaming service, like there's ads. So people are so used to it. And so like your slogan, whatever you are writing and what you want to put out there, has intention behind it. It needs to have intention behind it because you're trying to direct it to a certain audience member. And there's a lot of stuff out there and you're trying to find the right people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not just like slapping something on a billboard and sticking it out there. Like you are doing it strategically. You're doing it to find someone. Mm-hmm. You're doing it to communicate to a person who needs what you sell or serve. And so it's just a slogan, but it means something to your brand. And it says a lot about who you are.
Yeah. Okay. if you were to define, this is not on here, but like just very, very quickly, copywriting, just in like a small definition, just going forward, we just know copywriting, because whenever I first came in here, I was talking copywriting. I'm thinking, okay, that's the little C at the end of the thing, because it's the copywriting. That's what it's called, a copywriting logo. So I'm thinking, okay, we do that here. And then I'm like, no, this is what copywriting is. I'm like, oh my gosh, like not only is that important, that's also a completely different definition than what I probably thought copywriting is. So for anybody watching or listening, like what is copywriting and how would you define it? Just really fast.
Well, so first of all, those are two different things.
Yep, very different things.
And to your point, I do think people get confused when you're just talking about it, but there's copyright, which is copy RIGHT, and then copywriting, WRITING. So those are two separate worlds. Yep. And we don't deal with copyright as in like paying for the rights to something. But no, so copywriting, what we at DCM often like, it's writing copy. So that's just words. Copy is words. So a social post, like a social caption, text on a graphic. And we call it conversion focused. So it's copy written with the intent to prompt someone to take an action, or whether that action is like buying something or trusting you or learning more or whatever that is. But so it's writing copy that's conversion focused and it's directed toward an audience. Also, generally speaking, copywriting is short form. If you want to get into the nitty gritty details, whereas like content writing, which we also do, is more of the long form, like blogs, landing pages, that kind of thing would be more content versus copy, which is a lot of your short form.
Yeah. Okay. Cailey, do you have anything to add?
A lot more eloquent than I was. I was just gonna say we write words. So, that is. I would always like when we bring people in and I would be, explaining my job to them. I'm like, it's just like, it's a fancy word for writer. Like I'm just a writer. But we have a very interesting job in that we have to learn a lot about different brands and different industries and different businesses. And so like, yeah, I'm just a writer, but I have to know how to write about water treatment chemicals sometimes. But yeah, we write words. That's it in a nutshell, I think.
Words with a purpose.
Words with a purpose. I like that.
Yeah. Put that on a t-shirt.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Because every brand like has its own voice and types of words and vocabulary and things that you talk about. And so that's where, depending on what client you're working with, you have to put yourself in the mindset of that client and like speak as them and as they want to speak. Yeah.
You almost are personifying a brand. That's why we send out documents and they're literally called brand voices, because you want to think of your brand as this person that has a personality, because that's what's going to separate you from other people in your industry, your competitors, is we have this brand that's specifically going to attract this type of customer.
Yeah, and so I feel like you already started answering this part of the second
question. I knew I was going to do that. I'm sorry.
No, that's good, because that leads straight into like maybe just even expanding on that. So you guys have already talked about copywriting, its importance, kind of defined it. So like, what do we do under the umbrella of copywriting here at Dave Creek Media? When you say you said what copy is and how you define it, it's words with a purpose. How do we utilize that here at DCM?
Yeah, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
There's, Cailey and I talk a lot about how like we're in a unique position is that almost every project in this company comes across our desks. Whereas like some people like are a little bit more siloed. Like we're a very collaborative agency, but like if you're working on, some people only touch this part of a project, this part of a client, whereas like we get almost everything because almost everything has words on it. So that's videos, scripts, website pages, social media captions, in-image text on a graphic, ads, billboards, print products, more. Like there's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was like, he's saying like copywriting service. And I feel like people are probably thinking like, oh, am I getting the copywriting service? Like, if you are doing anything at Dave Creek Media, like, you're getting the
That
copywriting
involves
service,
words, like,
because
yeah.
we
Yeah.
work on everything.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah. I guess a follow-up question. So to show how professional you guys are, because you deal with so many different clients in a day. So especially under the umbrella of DCM, it's not just, hey, this one day I'm going to work on this kind of client. This next day, how do you make sure that you are, as you bounce around from client to client, how do you make sure that you're keeping the voice within each one of those clients rather than letting it go into another project you're working on in a different industry or different client, maybe that's in a similar industry? How do you keep that particular client's brand voice right there with them, since you see so many projects in a day?
dude, that's a really good question, because I feel like it's just one of those things that's like, you get it or you don't. Like, you can either just hop, like, as a writer and do that, or sometimes, like, it doesn't compute. And so I think having resources like brand voices, buyer personas, any sort of like brand profile that
Brand
we can
guides,
pull.
yeah.
And I mean, I think we've gotten to the point where we've been doing this long enough that it's like, I know my clients like the back of my hand. Like, you just get it
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, that is like one of the harder things, I think, to train someone to do. Yeah, because there is that extent of like, you get it or you don't. But I remember coming on and like feeling that for the first time as like writing for like a restaurant, and which is probably a lot more casual, and then like a fast food restaurant, and then turning around and writing for like a clinic. Like, those are very like starkly different. So those are a little bit easier to bounce between, because it's like, okay, well, I'm saying y'all come on down to the whatever versus, please get your vaccine, there's that difference. But then, yeah, when you're writing for 10 different clients in a day, there is some aspect of the longer you know the client, the easier it is to do. But we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of resources to help. So when you're learning clients for the first time, we have the brand voice. That is like your Bible. That's what you go back to and you say, okay, how do they sound? What do they want to say? We have style guides that contain like certain things for each client, like do's and don'ts. Like, this client really hates this specific word. Like, don't ever use that in the copy. Because clients can be picky like that. And so it's, you have those resources that you can always go back and read and refresh. Sometimes if you're just bouncing a lot, or like you need to get back in the headspace of a client, like I'll go read their website, like just to kind of like, okay, let me get back into this space that I was in. I've had to do that recently for a client. I was working on their website for like a long time, and then it got put on pause for a second for like a few weeks, and then I had to come back into it, and I was like, okay, like I got to get back into this. So I had to like rereading everything you do, revisiting all the resources so you can get back into that headspace. So it takes intentionality. There's some like clients that it's easier than others, or you are a little bit more familiar with them because you've worked on them longer. So it's easier to kind of slip in and out of those voices. We have a lot of tools and resources to help us succeed.
Yep.
And with more like technical clients, there's a lot of jargon as well when you start getting into water treatment. And we ran into that where like I'll go take a bunch of photos, and then we're looking at the photos, and we're not really sure what we're looking at all the time, because these are very technical machines and facilities. Like, we got to make sure we take good notes when we're taking photos so that y'all know what words to use and the specific jargons for clients. Yeah.
So what are some common mistakes that businesses make when they try to write their own copy?
That's a good one. Well, this is, really basic, but reread your copy. If you write, like, the amount of times we've seen stuff, like I've seen websites or when I'm researching, or like maybe it's a new client, they're like, we need to redo our website, and I look and there's just typos everywhere, or like paragraphs all jumbled together so it's really hard to read, or just like weird sentences that just don't make sense, or like they started a sentence and then in the middle of that sentence started another sentence. And so it's like, you have to, I would say, like, one thing that we do have is we have a really great attention to detail Like we pay a lot of attention to what we write, and I'm a little bit more meticulous. Like I that's just like nerves. I'm like I reread everything I do like multiple times, because I'm like this is going to someone, like this is important, like this needs to look perfect. And if you're not used to that, or you were doing it in a hurry, or it's not your thing, like you just don't bother. But I mean that's like a basic one, but it's one that people miss all the time. Is just go back over it. Don't just reread your copy, but also like reread your instructions, because sometimes you just miss stuff because you were working fast.
Yeah. I would say there's a lot more that goes into copy before you sit down and just start writing. So the biggest thing I think that people can miss is not outlining their unique selling proposition. So just to give a point of what a unique selling proposition is, it's probably going to be like, I would say one sentence, maybe two sentences. And it's like if I'm talking to you about this incredible product that I have, and you're like, okay, and like you're giving me attitude, you're like, okay, and like that's what your unique selling proposition is. It's what is going to separate you from the competition. It's like, yeah, they've got, also side note, we all know you have great customer service. Everybody has great customer service. It's not your unique selling proposition. That's my hot take. It's not your great customer service is not your unique selling point, even though some people probably have better customer service than others. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I just lost my train of thought.
That they're narrowing it down. No, I know what you're saying. Like this, like, and I think it's also called like this. You're so what?
You're so what? Yes, that's where I was trying to go. Was you're so what? Because at the end of the day, like you can give me this whole list of features that your product has, and I can be like, all of that sounds great, but like, what's in it for me? And eventually, like, that's what your buyer wants to know is what's in it for me. And you know, I can get the same thing down the road for cheaper. So why is yours better? Because if you're going to ask me for more money, then I better know what I'm paying for. I better get what I'm paying for. So yeah, I think you have to think about what makes your product or service unique before you even go into the writing stage. So you can be sure that that's incorporated throughout everything in your copy.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's asking that question. It's asking, so what? So I deliver this service. So what? So this. And you just ask that question until you reach the end of it. And then that is your USP. Like that's what you do that no one else does. That is like you've gotten to the bottom of the funnel. So just keep asking yourself that question. So what? And then when you do go to write, it should hinge around that so what, because that is what makes you different than everyone else. But yeah, that's a good one. And even just like doing that, but also research, like know your competitors. Like that idea of like everyone has great customer service. Like that is so true. Like the amount of people we talk to that they're like, well, our customer service is really what makes us stand out. And it's like, that's great. And there's a good possibility that that's true. But every single website ad out there is saying that they have great customer service, whether they do or not. So there's got to be something else. So what do your competitors do or don't do that you do or don't do? So yeah, just there's I say a lot, I'm like, I'd say like 70% of my job is not actually writing. It's the research, it's the planning, it's the outlining, it's the reading before you sit down to actually write. So do your due diligence before you sit down. If you really are going to write all your own copy by yourself, like, copy is what makes people trust you. So make sure you know your stuff, and make sure that you are representing yourself well.
Yeah. And I think another thing, like you said, some people don't even know who their competitors are. Some people don't even know who their ideal customer is. And you kind of have to, and I'm not a business owner. I could see how this would be a difficult thing to like really like hone in on one thing, but you've got to pick like 1 to 3 ideal customers, even if you are serving like a really broad range of people. When it comes to marketing, you've got to because that you have to personify that person. Like they're a person and they have a need. And if you're going to be able to speak to that need, you've got to know like, what does their day-to-day look like? What are their needs? Like, what are their problems that you need to fix? What do they look like? What does the day in their life look like? And if we're trying to serve everybody and market to everybody, then I think we're kind of missing the mark as of really marketing to your ideal person that's going to leave you the raving review and keep coming back for more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's that, oversaid, but like if you're marketing to everyone, you're serving no one. Like, because no one's going to feel seen or heard by your copy, which is the point of the copy, is to speak directly to a person, which is why, we have those buyer personas, so that when we're writing, we're not just thinking, okay, I'm directing this to the general audience in Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, that could be part of it, but you're really trying to think of, I'm talking to a 50-year-old man in Little Rock who likes to go fishing on the weekends, like stuff like that, where it's like when you start getting that person in your head, like, yes, you're speaking to a broader audience, but when you start writing to a person instead of just a faceless group, you're going to get more intentional.
Okay. So I know we answered a few, we started answering this question a little bit, but I'm going to ask you guys, because there may be something that maybe you'd like to add on to. If you had to give a business owner a few simple rules for writing better copy, what would they be?
A couple that came to me first when I was first thinking about this question was, one, don't over rely on AI. That's super easy to do nowadays, and it is a great tool, but it can hurt you more than it can help you if you don't do it right, because AI, as much as it will tell you that it can help you with your voice or help it sound more like you, AI is always going to sound like AI. AI has its own voice, and you are not AI. You sound different. Mm-hmm. So if you are just going to the tool and saying, write a billboard for me, I run a chiropractic clinic, like it's going to pull just super generic stuff from everything it knows about marketing and billboards and chiropractic clinics, and that's not going to sound like you. So going with that, don't over rely on AI, is write it first. And I think that's something that people don't do because maybe they feel like they're not a writer or they don't have time. That's very valid, especially if you're a business owner, you're trying to do it all yourself. But if you can even just get like in outline, some bullet points, some words that you love or like you want to sound like, and then give it to the tool, like then give it to whatever AI platform you use, like you're going to get a better result that sounds more like you, because it's going to pull from your words. So I would say, like, I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make, is just going to AI with nothing and then basing everything off of what AI gives them. Where it's like, go with something, write it first, because first of all, when you write, you're thinking. Like you're going to be realizing what you like and what you don't like about what you're writing, about what your business is. And then you're going to have something to start with, and then you can give it to AI. You can ask it to expand, and it can give you something more thorough. It can give it to you faster if you don't have the time to do it. But your voice, your business's voice is important, and it's unique to you. Don't let a tool take that from you. Like you need to own that.
That's really good.
That was really good.
Cailey? It was okay. Kaylee, I just totally get
out of here.
Get out of here. Cailey, you have anything to add?
I would say know your audience, know your ideal customer. That's a huge one. Know what makes your business unique. Like, know what makes your products and services unique, because that's just like your brand person. Like, people want to know that. And then I would also say just doing the work on the forefront. Just define some of those things. Define who your ideal customer is, and define what makes your products and services unique before you even start writing.
Mm-hmm. I would also say, as much as I said, like you are, your brand, there is a difference between whoever the writer is, you, and your brand. So if you're like a small business owner, sometimes that distinction is a lot more narrow. because maybe you're the face of the business, you do everything yourself. But if you are the voice, like you have created no distinction between you and your brand, like that's going to be really hard to separate in the long run. So it's also like taking all of those things, like your USP, your audience, your intent, and then what you know, your expertise, your personal knowledge, and then like making a voice for your brand. Take the time. I think take the time, sit down and make the voice for your brand. I mean, we talked about brand voices earlier, but like that is so important. Write it down somewhere, have it so that you can revisit it and go back to it. And then that way, if you ever do have a copywriter or if someone comes in to help you with your marketing, you have something that sits there and is like, here, read this. This is our brand. This is what we sound like. And it's not just that burden of copy doesn't always land on you all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of times with like video scripts are a good example of this where I try to just brain dump as much information as I can get from the client. And I'm almost like treating the copywriters like y'all are my AI. But I get it. I give y'all a start, something to work with, words that I like, topics, flow, outline, and then get it to y'all to polish it and make it look really nice. And even we used to do a lot with like text on screen as well. We have a lot of graphics in a video. It's very easy to want to say like, oh, we'll just let the copywriters take care of that. I always try to give y'all something, at least to be able to work off of so that you at least see the direction, the vision of what we're going with. And I also like what you said of just like, if you're trying to make your brand voice, just start writing. Like just do it first. You can make it better later, throw it in AI, see what it gets, talk to someone else about it. But at some point you're going to have to sit down and just start writing as your business. Mm-hmm. And that will evolve what it looks like over time. But you have to start there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think people get really afraid of writing. Like they're like, I'm not a writer, so I can't do it. Okay, maybe writing isn't your strong suit. Maybe that's not what you're the best at. Everyone writes. You have your entire life. You have been writing. Everybody writes. Hey.
Everybody writes.
I love that book.
Everybody writes.
But it is true.
By Claire Franklin and Cailey Cook.
No. By Anne Handley. She's amazing. But no, it is true. Everybody writes. You've been writing since you were a kid. You had to write in school. You write text messages. You write emails. Like, hopefully you write emails. Anyway, that's a side tangent with AI. But you write. You write all the time. Maybe it's not formal. Maybe it's not what you think is writing, but you do write. You do have that capability. So don't be afraid of it. Even the best writers have the worst first drafts. And like that, I mean, that is literally like a tactic that they talk about is like, get out the terrible first draft. Just write it. Put it down on paper because you can't make it better until it's there. So sit down, write it. Doesn't have to be good at all, but you need to get something down so that then you can start making it better. Mm-hmm.
Writing is rewriting. Yay.
Yeah.
That's what that skill of like write it, and even if it's bad, you can just rewrite it, but it gives you something to work off of. But we do that with videos too. Like we'll come up with these ideas that we want to do, and we're throwing all these different things we want to try, and I'm like, let's just do it once. Let's try it. Instead of planning out a 10 episode series of what we're going to do on episode 9, like let's just make the first one and see what that looks like, because we're going to learn so much from doing that, and then we can go from there and with the new knowledge that we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. All right. We're going to jump right into this next question. So you both create copy that goes way beyond a slogan. So what does it look like to write around a brand's full voice instead of just writing isolated pieces?
I feel like you can honestly like compare it even just to like a design aspect. So like you're a designer, so you know like colors like are a big deal. And that's how like somebody's going to recognize your brand. And so we would probably encourage people, you keep it to how many colors you say you keep it to?
I mean, it could be 3 to maybe 4 or 5.
3 to 4 or 5.
Yeah, you don't want too many.
That's like, I mean, we send somebody a brand voice and we're like, pick 3 to 5 adjectives that are going to describe your brand, because you've got to like hone in on who you're going to be as a company, if that makes sense. And everything kind of has to connect back to that one, your unique selling point, mission, vision, values. Like everything has to connect back to those.
Yeah, so when we write for those like full system clients, there's something that's like easier about getting into a voice because probably we were helping them like create that brand voice document and we're like helping pull it from them. And then we start writing everything. So it's easier, like in that sense, to like write cohesively because we probably started like from scratch with everything. But even for the like more piecemeal stuff, as it said, like the ad here, the graphic heading here, like we do our due diligence to like go back to everything that client has already has out there. Maybe they don't want us to do their website. Maybe the only thing they need help with is an ad. Well, we're still looking at their website and we're still looking at their social and everything else out there, because even if we're only doing one thing for them, like this one piece of the whole marketing puzzle, it still has to match up with everything. It still has to fit. So even though it's piecemeal, we still do a lot of work to make sure that that voice is incorporated so it doesn't sound like it's different. So even if we weren't in the process from the beginning, even if we weren't in there, we always create some sort of brand voice. And we always have some sort of thing that we build off of to make sure everything fits.
How do you determine what that voice is? You say we always build a brand voice. How do you determine
what
that voice is?
We have a brand voice document that we send to clients when they onboard with DCM. And it has like some prompts to fill out. It has some like adjectives, like what Cailey was saying. Like we asked them to select like 3 to 5 adjectives, and we kind of like go down the funnel of like, pick this adjective. Okay, you pick that adjective. Now pick these 3 other adjectives that go with that adjective to get some sort of idea of what they want to be, what they want to sound like. We also ask for aspirational brand voices. Like, are there brands that you love, like you really want to sound like, or there's just something about them that like really attracts you? And then we'll ask for, sometimes like their mission, vision, values are really helpful. In that.
An elevator pitch can go so far into helping us build a brand voice.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we have documentation that gets filled out. And then we will take that and expand on the 2 sentences or the 5 adjectives and build that into something that fits style, messaging, etc. to make sure that we have something to go back to. But yeah, it does come from the client. Like we always want to get that feedback from the client. Every once in a while, we'll have a client that isn't super involved in that, and so then we'll take it from whatever their current website looks like. Usually, in their website and their socials, something that's a lot of copy, more long form, so we can get a better idea of who they are and what they sound like, and then we'll just pull it from there.
Yep. And I was thinking everything through when I read this question, I was like you, Cailey, looking at this through a graphic design standpoint too. It's like, I remember, I think I was making an ad for somebody and I used a bunch of almost copy and paste of what I was doing on a social post because it aligned with almost word for word what we were doing on a social post. And I was like, if we want to make it feel consistent. And I was also thinking of it looking at like it's this big, huge puzzle. It's got to flow. It's got to look right. And people may think it's like, does it really matter that I have the same colors? Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of matters you get the same fonts. And I know that sounds silly, but at the end of the day, you don't want people to go, that kind of just feels like it's so out of place out of everything else this person has done. Unless there's a clear saying like, hey, this is a campaign that we're doing for this client. There's a reason why it looks different. But if it's not, then you want to make sure it looks the same. And
on brand.
Yes.
What?
On brand.
On brand.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it looks on brand. Unless, again, there's a clear indication. This is a campaign for specific, maybe special or sale that we're doing. It's got to look on brand for each of, for anything that we do for that client. And also another thing I was thinking about, I love it whenever a client does fill out that brand voice document or that aspiration. Like I love seeing what designs are you loving right now? What's a website that you just love the way the colors pop? You love the font. You love this. It's hard when they're like, make it look cool. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Make it look cool? Like I could
And also
think of,
what you think is cool is probably different than what they think is cool.
yeah, what's your definition of cool? Like, and then I'm going to send you something to be like, this is cool to me. And they're going to be like, I hate this. Then I'm like, Well, I think you're wrong. Like, I don't know. That's never happened, obviously. But
Add that to the onboarding. What is your definition of cool?
Exactly.
What is your
Yeah.
definition of cool?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I love anytime there's something that inspires them, there's something they love. I also love to know what do you hate about this?
Yeah.
What do you not like? And so when they send me, hey, I saw this was a really cool ad. I mean, like, I have to ask, what is it that you like about it? What do you not like about it? So I feel like I really resonated with that in the graphic design realm of things when you guys did answer that. All right. So when a client knows what they do, but they don't know how to say it well, how do they help turn that into strong copy? How do you help turn that into strong copy?
We get a lot of those, honestly. Like, and once again, that comes back to like sometimes people just, they don't know how to write or they don't think they know how to write. And sometimes like, you know what you do so well and it's hard to write it down.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it is like so genuinely. Part of that is why we have a great team, like in the onboarding process, our onboarding specialists, our account executives, like they do a lot of work on that front end to, one, make the client feel comfortable. But two, like we have documentation, we have resources that we send to them that ask specific questions so that they can like kind of get their thoughts out onto paper. So that's a collaborative effort, I would say. Like, when we rely a lot on those team members to get us that information. We're copywriters. We thrive on information. The more information, the better. Put it all in there. We'll figure it out. So that's a great asset to us, is just our team. And like, if we get a client and I'm like, we have nothing, like we go back to our teammates and we say, hey, can you ask these questions? Because the client's voice and answers is always going to be your best resource. So sometimes that's, hey, get in a meeting with this client. Like, just listen to them talk about it for 30 minutes because they don't know how to write it down, but they're really passionate about it and they really know how to talk about it. So, like, sit in there, take notes, listen, or we'll send you the transcript where they sat and talked and listened. So, we try our best to get the information to, maybe the client can't write it down, maybe they don't know how, but they can talk about it usually. And sometimes like they're like, I don't really know what our USP is, but usually when they start talking about what they do, you can figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like one thing is just asking the right questions. That's something that we have to do with clients a lot. And I do this on my day-to-day. I'll say, explain it to me like I'm 5. Like, and sometimes that's just how you have to do it. Explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. Another cool thing that we do as a part of our role is we're good at filtering, because, I mean, that's also part of why you would want somebody, because nobody knows your brand more than you do. But we can come at it kind of from a fresh perspective of filtering out some of that jargon that would, like, a customer would see that and be like, whoa, like, what did you like, are you even speaking the same language as me right now? And we can kind of be in a nice balance of understanding what you do, but also communicating it to your customer in a way that they're going to understand without all of the jargon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then some of that comes down to just knowing your client.
Yeah.
Like, some clients have a really hard time giving the information up front. They're like, I need this, but I don't know, like, I don't know what I need. I just know I need this. So sometimes we go in and we just write something. Like, we're like, we don't really know, but like,
Yeah.
you're a roofing company. This is what roofing companies tend to do. Yeah. Let's put this together and we'll give it to you. And sometimes clients are better at saying, no, we don't do this. No, we don't do this. And then saying, yes, we do this. Mm-hmm. So sometimes just knowing your client, like, okay, this client, we just need to send them something. They just need to look at it.
Yep. And
then they will like be able to say, oh, actually, I want it to look like this. I've seen this before. Like, this is what we do. So depends on the client. And that once again comes down to your team and like building that relationship with the client and knowing what they do. But also, like, yes, we love all the information because that gives us a great foundation. But we don't need to be a professional in their company to be able to write their landing page.
Yeah.
And their customers aren't professionals in that company. There's a reason they're coming to you. Like, when we're writing a landing page, an ad. Like, we're not trying to give their ideal customer all of the details of their company, like everything about that service. They don't need to know that. Like, they probably need they need a base level understanding to buy in. They don't need the level 10 knowledge.
Right.
So we can sometimes, even if we don't have a lot, we can still do something with that.
Yep.
I feel like it goes back to that benefit focused. So a big like pillar in when you're learning about copywriting is features versus benefits. And I could list off all of these features, but going back to, well, what's in it for me? Really, like the main part of our job is making sure your customers are going to know what's in it for them. Like, we're not just listing off features.
This is changing the way I'm thinking about copywriting and marketing.
This changes everything.
Looking a little dazed over there.
And what makes it sound like you guys love is like you love the back and forth to the client. Whereas sometimes there's some people who may be like, why don't you love what I put out the first time? But what it helps is down the road, whenever we're trying to put more stuff out for this client, it helps, I guess, avoid more of that back and forth. You're getting it out in the front end. Like you're just writing something. You're getting something out there for them to then look at and be like, oh, actually, you know what? We don't do that. We do this. We do that. And then it helps everything from the video team to the graphics team to the web team to promo, everything else that we do to know to avoid they do not do this. So then it helps avoid hiccups and roadblocks down the road to then again, there may be a lot of back and forth, almost to the point where it may feel frustrating to others, but to us, it helps us narrow down the important aspects of the client.
Yeah. I would say you can't be a writer and hate revisions.
Yeah, I was like, if you're in school at UCA right now and writing and you're thinking you're going to make it through life without feedback and revisions, it's probably time to reconsider.
Yeah. If you hate getting feedback about your work,
Come to terms with it.
don't do it professionally.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, you have to. And like a lot of times the most back and forth comes in that onboarding process.
Yeah.
And that is the best time to do it because we're learning each other. You know, the client's learning you, you're learning them. And all of that back and forth initially, as you iron it all out, is going to mean less back and forth on the back end. Like as we get along and as we know them better, there's going to be less revisions if we do all of that back and forth at first. Yeah. And like, obviously there's a limit. Like you don't want to like do everything wrong and they have to fix everything you do. But, yeah, I mean, their feedback is always going to be the one that matters most. It's their brand, it's their company. So we will do our best to sometimes read their minds. Like, I think that's sometimes our part-time job.
Our part-time job, mind reading. We're mind to my resume. Yeah.
Professional mind readers. You wouldn't know, but we are. And that sometimes that's what clients think we are. Like, we want a mind reader. Like, we will try our best.
Gotcha. All right. Last question. As DCM, Dave Creek Media, continues to grow, why is it important for us to keep strengthening our copywriting service?
Well, I think currently the climate we are in with AI, copy is all starting to look and sound very similar. And at the same time, authenticity is like at its premium. Like people want connection. They want to feel and hear something real. And people are starting to gain more of a knowledge of AI and AI content. And so as the days go on, yeah, sure, AI is getting better, but people are also learning it a lot more. And so they're recognizing it a lot more. And they have kind of an innate sense of this is real or this isn't. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. So copywriters, like humans, people who know people are always going to have that leg up. Maybe it's not the most polished thing ever. And like, that's honestly sometimes like what I've been leaning into. I'm like, this doesn't need to be the most buttoned up sentence that has ever existed with all of the, don't use that adverb. People hate adverbs for some reason, but I'm like, put the adverb in there because that's how people talk and that's how people connect. And humans are always going to be able to connect with other humans. And yes, AI tools are helpful, and our world currently and our market especially prioritizes speed over everything. So AI is really helpful for that, and it is helpful to us, especially as people who work in a lot of different industries and write for them. It's great for research. It's great for outlines. But we are the person, and like the more we learn about the industries we write for, the people we write for, like we're able to connect with our clients in a way that the tool can't connect with them. And I think that's really invaluable. And I love that DCM does invest in copywriters and doesn't just leave everything up to AI, but that invests in the people who will continue learning and training and can connect with clients in a way that a tool can't.
In today's digital landscape, having a human voice is paramount. That's what I was thinking the entire time. Yeah. If you didn't catch that, that was very AI.
Yeah. You have to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
We've just seen it so many times. No, I just piggybacking off of everything you just said was perfect. I mean, we're already seeing it from a design standpoint. A lot of people are like, that's AI and trying to figure that out. And I think even already from the copy standpoint, like people are getting pretty sleepy. Search engines are starting to prioritize human written content over AI content, which it's all evolving so much that it's like almost like a battle for who can keep up and have a leg up over the other search engines or AI. And I think having that human voice, or even just a human to look at it and say, does this sound right? Does it sound right for the brand? Like if I'm reading this as a potential customer, is this something that's going to make me buy in or not? I think just that human to human, even if we're having to do it through words on a screen, is going to speak loud. So,
yeah, I think we just have perspective that other people don't. And your chatbot, no matter how much they know you, doesn't have. I mean, like I've gone back and forth with revisions on AI, and it's just there to validate you and everything you put in. So like it'll generate something for me and I'll say, okay, but we really want to hit, this specific mark. Like it needs to sound like this for whatever reason. And it'll be like, you're right. It looks like this. I'm like, okay, well now it's too long. This originally, and it'd be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And it's like, we'll do that back and forth where I'm like, if you think I'm right, why are you doing that in the first place? And then we have taken that, like, we've played around with it. We've taken that where it says it's polished, it's great. Give it a day, stick it in another chat, just a different conversation, and say, evaluate this for these points. And it'll be like, we're not hitting the mark on all these. I'm like, you wrote that.
Yeah, we literally said we have an auditor, and we're auditing things that ChatGPT wrote or had some influence on, and it's like telling us all these things that were wrong with what it wrote, and we're like, what the heck?
Yeah. So there's just there's a level of trust you can never have with an AI tool, no matter how helpful they can be. And people are looking for trust. That's what copy is about. It's when I read that, do I trust this enough to click the button, to take the next step? Right. I mean, that's the whole journey. It's building trust with your audience member, with your client, with whoever, so that they eventually complete the cycle and take the action. But they're never going to click on you if they don't trust you. They're not going to keep reading it if they don't trust you.
Yeah.
So copy has that ability to build trust, but you need the human perspective to keep learning people, to be able to, have these conversations and to go online and see what the general population is saying, and then take that into what we write and say, we got to change what we do. And yeah, copywriters, I think, are invaluable for that.
Yeah.
Marketing is communication, and at the core of communication is words. And words are really important, and they show up in every single department and every single thing that we do at Dave Creek, from the websites to the social media to the videos. It all comes back to words. And I've always been very grateful for both of you to be able to help with the words that we use. I like to write, but I am in no any way a professional copywriter for a marketing company. But how a brand communicates its messages makes it who they are. And it is so true that all the brands that come through Dave Creek Media and work with us, they do cross your desk and are looked at and are thought about and reviewed and debated over and decided on what is important for this brand to say to talk to the people that we want to talk to. And it's silly to talk about it it's just words, but like it's so much more than that, and it's really cool. So I don't know, y'all have had amazing things to say about it, and I don't know, that's my final 2 cents.
All right. I do want to say thank you both for coming on today. And I know maybe some people are like, they're going to talk about words, but also really highlighting the importance of words, highlighting the importance of copywriting and our copywriting service, and also bringing your insight and your perspective to it as well. Copywriting is more than just filling space with words. It's about helping brands communicate clearly, sound like themselves, like we've talked about, and connect with the right people, with the right audience. So if today's conversation made you think, even if it was a little, don't just move on. Take a closer look about your messaging, about your website, about your content, and the voice behind your brand. So ask whether your words are actually saying exactly what you want them to say. So if you've got value from this episode, subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel. Share this episode with someone who you know needs it. Like, hey, your messaging needs this. So why don't you go listen to this episode? I'm kidding. And maybe I'm actually serious. You never know. So, and tag us with your biggest takeaway. So follow us on our socials at Dave Creek Media on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Lastly, go to davecreekmedia.com/podcast to listen to our past episodes and to get a free digital audit. So Claire and Cailey, goodbye. No, I was kidding. No, I was kidding. But again, thank you guys. Is there anything you guys want to say before we head out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's a great time.
We'll see you guys on the next one.